This is startling now. More than half of the roads in the Detroit area are in poor condition. You may say, yep, I know that, right? Well, that is according to a new study by TRIP, a national transportation research group based in Washington, D.C. The agency says 56% of Detroit area roads are in bad shape, costing drivers an average of $866 a year in repair costs.
It's a troubling report, especially considering the state lawmakers just started a month-long vacation without passing a bill to fix our crumbling roads.
Yeah, now we're talking about roads and blight together here, because we are closely watching a bipartisan agreement in the nation's capital that could take away millions of dollars from the state of Michigan.
It could be devastating to neighborhoods already on the edge of struggling with blight. Joining us now is U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow from Washington, D.C. It's great to have you with us, Senator.
Well, thanks, Heather and Joanne. It's good to be with you, although I wish we were not talking about something of such great concern to Detroit and other cities.
Can you walk us through what's happening here and why you're so concerned about it?
Yes. Well, just as we're concerned about funding for roads in Michigan, actually 80% of the funding for our major roads and bridges comes from the federal government. The Highway Trust Fund here is actually running out the end of the month. So it's very important that we have a plan moving forward. There hasn't been a willingness to do something in a bipartisan way, but at this point, the Republican leader in the Senate gave us a 1,000-page bill yesterday. It does a lot of things to try to fund roads. Some of them make sense, some of them don't make any sense, and one of them that does not make any sense is taking away funding that has been given to cities like Detroit that they've been promised for blight removal and other issues to rebuild our neighborhoods, you know, take down those abandoned buildings that children are walking by to go to school. We've been given an allocation of funding, and now in something that's, I think, is unheard of, Senator McConnell's proposing we actually take that back.
So
it makes absolutely no sense, and I'm doing everything I can to stop it.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I just want to ask, is he proposing it that it's the funds that have not yet been allocated that they want to take back? So obviously the city has already spent, and many cities around our area have spent money, but the money they have not yet spent, they want to now take away?
There's two steps. One is the state is told how much money they receive for these housing purposes, and then they turn around and tell each city, like Detroit. So they've been promised the money. They have not received all of it yet, but they have been promised it. They're doing work around it. They're moving forward based on the funding that they were told they would get. And so anything that they haven't already spent, even though they're working, doing the job, and they're going to need to be reimbursed, those funds will, under this plan, would be basically reneged on by the federal government. And I think it's terrible.
But this money was essential to help us get out of the housing crisis, and for many cities like Detroit and like some of the other cities in Michigan, the housing crisis wasn't just foreclosure, it's blight, and it's people who are still in their homes dealing with serious blight in their neighborhoods. So what can be done to keep this money coming to the neighborhoods?
Well, I'm doing everything in my power. I've spent all day, I've spent all last night. I'm going to be working through the weekend to do everything that we can. I mean, obviously, it is a Senate Republican majority, and so I'm looking for colleagues across the aisle that represent states where they would be hurt as well. Certainly, Senator Peters is working with me. But we're in a situation where, you know, in Detroit, you can drive down neighborhoods. I've done it myself with the mayor, where you see neighborhoods that are coming back, housing values going up because the 2 or 3 houses that were vacant and abandoned and dilapidated have come down. And so instead you have a community garden or a playground or a park or just an open space, and neighborhoods are seeing their values go up, and we're seeing neighborhoods become safer for our children and better opportunities in terms of really growth in the city. And so this makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. It doesn't have to be used. This was just a conscious choice for whatever reason by a group of people, and it's wrong. And so I'm going to do everything I can to continue to fight to stop this.
Well, thank you. We want to put up a statement, by the way, for those supporting this effort. And we wanted the statement that came out of a Senate committee was house prices have sufficiently recovered and foreclosure activities have sufficiently abated so that funds in this would be better put to use for Americans in infrastructure investment. So that is the other side of this. That is what they're saying there. So Senator Debbie Stabenow, we thank you very much for your time. We all know we need a long-term road funding plan, and we certainly hope that one eventually passes in Washington. Thank you.
Absolutely, and we need to get that done. We just need to not get it done on the backs of hardworking folks in neighborhoods that are working hard to have safe places for their children to be.
Thank you, Senator. And let's check in.